an exclusive XM presentation.
Jim Norton is about to get unmasked.
Unmasked. Truth in comedy.
Swimming through the inner soul of the comedic mind.
Unmasked on XM Satellite Radio.
Brought to you by BowDogLife.net. Playing poker has never been easier. Sign up for free today at BowDogLife.net.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
I remember my girlfriend and I were watching Oz, and she's like, "Do you think you'd be raped in prison?" I'd be raped in the bus on the way to prison. I was raped in Monopoly jail. You know, people are so obsessed, you know, don't get me sick, don't cough around me. You know, you tell me you're OCD and I'll walk right, come here. Then I'll read off my sexual history and watch you panic and cry.
This is Unmasked with Jim Norton, an XM exclusive comedy presentation. Now, from XM's Performance Theater, here's host Ron Bennington.
All right. Welcome to Unmasked. I'm Ron Bennington. We are going to bring out a gentleman right now who you can hear on XM radio every single day on the Opie and Anthony Show. You can also pick up this new best-selling book. Happy Endings is the name of it. I hope everybody has already picked this up. It's something that you want to keep away from the children, but it's indeed a bestseller on the New York Times. He's got another HBO special coming up real soon. Put your hands together for Jim Norton. Jimmy. Welcome, buddy. Thank you. Thanks, now, the point here of Unmasked is to figure out what the comic is behind what the act is on stage. And I cannot imagine that there is a single secret that you have left at this point, because it's your act, it's in the book. Other than the fact that maybe you're with PETA, I would have no idea how you could shock the audience tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably not much that they don't know already, just from listening to the show and from watching the act. I mean, it's pretty much mostly true. The stuff that people don't know is the boring stuff. Just like what a fucking emotional boob I am.
Right.
Me and my girlfriend were watching on Golden Pond, and I'm just weeping like a washwoman. Like that. It's like that type of stuff that people are like, ugh, we didn't want to know that. It's douche chill.
Why the complete honesty? When did that start, from the beginning of the stand-up career? Is it something that you got used to talking about?
I've always kind of, the guys I like the most were the honest comedians. I mean, you know, my favorite is Pryor, he's my idol, and he was honest. He talked about his mother being a prostitute, you know, and his father being abusive, and it's like the guys I've always loved did that. And I kind of always feel like there's so many hacks and so many like guys that are just doing the same shit. All I own is myself and my views on stuff. So if I'm not talking about myself, what the fuck am I doing up there? It's like I kind of like that anything I do is mine to talk about.
Right.
And I'm very lazy, and I really don't feel like, you know, doing observational political shit because it bores me. You know, it's fun for a week, and then it becomes old.
So everything, basically, that your main interest is you.
Well, yeah, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
You know, Ron, when you have this to work with. No, I just feel like I'm always aware of what it is I'm doing, you know, and I just feel like it's fun to tell people, because I always feel good when I relate to somebody. Like when somebody says something that I do, I'm like, fuck, I do that. It makes me feel better. So when I confess things that I confess on stage, whether it's sexual in nature or desires to blow my brains out or whatever it is that everybody has from time to time, I kind of feel like there's something close about that with the audience, because I like hearing that from people.
And is that what they come and say to you later? Like, I don't tell people, but I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, I've gotten emails about that, and people do say that. And the sexual stuff, the most, because that's like the most taboo. You know, a lot of people can't talk about it, or they don't want to talk about it because they're married or whatever. But I think a lot of times they like hearing the honesty of that.
Well, that's kind of interesting, too, because when you go I know this for a fact. I meet people who listen to XM all the time. And I will meet women and I'll go, they're going to ask me about Jimmy. Women will say, tell me about Jimmy Norton. Is it real? Is this an act? It seems to almost attract women to you.
Well, it weeds out all non-hackers who do not pack the gear to serve in our beloved corps. You know, it's
now, you will come off stage and you'll meet a lot of those girls who want to, like, take the Jimmy Norton experience.
Well, the majority of women aren't attracted to what I do. It's just the ones that are. know what they're in for. You know what I mean? It's like if there's 50 women, maybe 3 will like me, but all 3 of those have a full bladder.
Right. They're all gamers.
Yeah. They're what we call good eggs.
And going into this from your book, the sexual addiction stuff, very, very early. Very, very young.
2nd grade, I can remember. This is true, man. I didn't have intercourse till I was 18. The first time I fucked a girl, I was half drunk. I was one of those white black kids before it was fashionable, and I had like on a furry Bell Burgundy Kango. I mean, just an asshole. Really was awful. And I had sex with this girl, Michelle, I was dating. But my sexual behavior started with and I've talked so many times about Monster Rain, but me and my little buddies blowing each other under a porch in Edison, New Jersey. And I counted 10 sexual partners before I moved to North Brunswick. And I moved to North Brunswick Halloween of 4th grade. So anything that happened in Edison happened before Halloween of 4th grade. I had a brother and sister, 2 friends of mine. One was a year older than the other. And I used to like the smell of piss. And both of them would piss their pants all the time. I don't know what was happening in that household, but neither one of them was properly trained to use a toilet. So I would lay behind the bushes, and I would get either him or his sister to sit on my face so I could smell the piss through their clothing. You know, healthy. But true.
And, yeah. You know, I mean, I understand being a little kid playing doctor, but you know.
Oh, yeah, no, it was
urologist, I guess, for you. I mean, it went in a whole other. I mean, have you ever once thought, I need to talk to somebody about this, or are you worried it'll fuck up the act?
Oh, no, I'm in therapy now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't. The only thing that I'm afraid of is, and I won't do, is medication. That scares me because I'm afraid of fucking with my mind at all like that, just because, you know, but the sexual addiction, Colin Quinn said something to Nick DiPaolo one time, because to me they're both absolutely brilliant comedians. But he said, Nick, you're so angry, sometimes that blocks your creativity. And, you know, and Colin, like, saying that made me think, like, my sexual stuff will block my creativity because it's an escape. You know what I mean? It's like anything else you do. It's like smoking dope or fucking drinking. I mean, it's just a way to like zone out and completely like just be devoid of any real emotion or feelings. And I think if I put any effort into writing like I did into sexual addiction, I'd be a lot more productive and a lot more in touch with what's going on. So it hurts more than it helps, I think. Because
it makes you lean back on top of those sexual addictions, like still, like your curiosity is there too. I mean, that also has a lot to do with your writing, since it's in your mind so much?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when so many hours a day are spent focusing for real, not just, I jerked off today, but I mean literally when you're fucking, like, you know, when you go through 3 prostitutes in a night sometimes because you just need that perfect high to come, you know, it's like doing drugs again, man. I've been sober a long time, but that's what it's like.
And maybe if you ever conquer that, you will work outside yourself. You will go, hey, CNN had something interesting on.
Yeah, not to become a self-important douche. You ever notice?
All right, let's go that way because you do seem like a guy who will say not everybody is a comedian. Some of the comedians go in here and said doesn't matter what type of comedy it is. But for you, there are hacks.
Yeah.
And there are people that you don't think I'm in the same business as them.
Yeah, I mean, well, hacks are funny. I mean, a hack joke is like McDonald's. Those are funny jokes, so hacks always do well on stage. You know what I mean? Hacks are not that easy to spot, and that's why comedians hate them, because you watch a guy. It's almost like it's like somebody saying, "Wow, that was a wonderful painting," but it's fucking painting by numbers because you saw him backstage and you saw like the one and the red and that's why it annoys comics. It's not a jealousy thing. It's like it's just irritating because you kind of know how they came to that stuff. But yeah, there's plenty of hacks. I mean, guys, I love Patrice. I love guys that talk about themselves and their own lives.
All right, for you, you're saying, all right, you don't paint by numbers. You're what, throwing paint up there, and you have to be in that moment.
No, I'm not. I don't mean it like I'm a renegade either. Like, I mean, I do want the picture to look nicely, but I mean, I fuck up a lot. You know, I mean, and it's like I don't want to paint by numbers. And again, I don't think I'm up there doing Andy Kaufman either. But you try to strive for some kind of originality, otherwise you're shit.
When did you find that this is the character? I mean, was that early on? Is this kind of the same Jimmy Norton we would have seen 6 months into his career, or what?
No, I was an embarrassment. I watched tapes of myself from the old days, and I can't, like, when I first came on, I literally cannot watch it. I'd rather watch myself blowing somebody on film.
And those are available.
Oh, they certainly are.
Yeah. So, at what point did it kick in for you that you said, I'm not on the right track?
I don't know, man. It's just from being on stage every night.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens. There was no moment or no light. It just kind of happens from performing night after night after night. And when I'm at the Comedy Cellar every night and you're working with guys like Colin and Nick and Geraldo and really fucking funny guys, it's like if you suck and you're a hack and you're up there, they're going to call you out on it and you're going to get teased relentlessly. You're kind of, by osmosis, forced to do your own thing or you're just going to get called out on it.
I watch you do at least 6 or 7 different types of comedy all the time, you know?
Well, it's like a guy, like when you do like Leno or something like that, like the way it works for the Tonight Show is they know what you're going to, they say, just tell us, give us 3 panel minutes, tell us pretty much what you're going to do, so they have to put it through their censors, and give us the out cue, the out word, and then Jay will ask the next question. So you kind of have an idea of where it's going to go. Leno's pretty much, boom, boom, boom. But I like doing the show. I prefer that because he doesn't step on you. I love doing Leno, man. I love that show.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me that you talk about the sexual addiction and you know that that's somewhat screwed up for you. But at the same time, it doesn't seem unlike the same thing that you have with comedy where I want something that I almost can't get to, you know. It seems like you're still grinding it back in a different direction.
Yeah, the unattainable. It's almost like when you do coke, you know. It's like a lot of times you spend 20 years looking for that first or second high, and with comedy, it just keeps refueling itself. I mean, because I killed last night, so I want it again, or I bombed last night, so I have to kill. You know what I mean? There's always something to push you forward. The sexual addiction, though, it's got to fucking stop. Because even when it's not acting out, I got a girlfriend now, and I'm good. But it's still mental, and it's still a mental obsession. It's fucking awful.
Has she read the book, your girlfriend?
Yeah, we went to San Francisco recently, and her grandmother was fucking her grandmother's 85, and she's perusing it. And I'm like, why did we fucking bring this to your family's house, you dope? And she said her grandmother read it in one night, which kind of creeped me out. She liked it, and my girlfriend is reading it now, but she's very slowly reading it. It's hard to read that shit about your boyfriend, that he's picked up all these prostitutes, because my girlfriend's smart, man. She's not a dummy. She knows. Like, a lot of it is the truth, all of it, you know.
Well, I guess it's the same for your family, too. I mean, you're right in there, you believe, a great family, normal middle-class kid. They did everything right. But they sit back and read this book and go, geez, we thought he was out, at a seesaw. And he's getting the neighborhood kids to blow him.
And he reciprocated. So at least he's not selfish.
I mean, at one point, have they ever said to you, why didn't you come to me?
No, because, well, I tell you why, because I think that the fact that I had such problems young with drinking and drugs, and the fucking suicide attempts and all that nonsense, however disingenuous some of them were, a lot of times it was about attention. But I think after that, and then I got sober when I was 18, so it's like, it's all gravy. Like, your parents are just happy to see you not doing that. So they've always been very loving. I'm very lucky, man. I have a great family. My mother, my father, my sister. They've always been extremely supportive. But I made them wait 7 years before they came to see me live. You know what I mean? I didn't want family there. I didn't want an unnatural reaction from an audience. I didn't want love from people who already loved me. That was cheating, But my family's been fucking great. But they saw the worst, So it's like, this is all like, so what, you got Horace? Well, you're not cutting your veins anymore, so.
Right.
It's nice.
And I guess it was a real rough time there in the teenage years before you did this stuff. I mean,
I don't know what it is though. It's like it's self-induced. To my knowledge, something happened. I don't really know what it is. I find myself riding back to my old neighborhood, and there's something awful there. I just don't know what. But it was nobody else was doing. I don't think. You know what I mean? I don't have this traumatic experience that I can remember. I've always had this fucking awful self-worth. And to me, that's always been like, well, at least that's there. Like, even from a young age, like, you can go through the process of trying to fix this, but you can always blow your brains out. Like, that's always the option. It was almost comforting to know that it was there. I always wanted to do comedy since I was like 12, but I kind of believed it was a dream that would never happen. But when I started, I left myself no safety net. I kind of made a decision that this was it. I was going to do comedy. And, I see a lot of guys that are like, yeah, I'm doing comedy and I'm going back to school. I'm like, well, good luck. Good luck, man. You got a safety net. You're not going to become obsessed. To me, to be really a great comic, you have to somehow be obsessed with it because what else is going to motivate you? It's like, fuck your social life. I can't tell you how many relationships I've blown because New Year's Eve I work, birthdays I work, anniversaries I work. To me, that's more important. You know, and women understandably don't want that. They want a guy that spends time with them. But again, you can't tell a girlfriend, but I love you, but you don't compare to this. You never will. You know, nothing you do for me will ever be that fucking high. You know, you can't compete with that.
Everything is going to be secondary to what happens on that stage, and it's just night by night.
Yeah, man, it really is. I mean, in the overall picture, I mean, there's things that I'll prioritize, like in a moment or in a night, of course. But overall, I've always seen myself, like the only quality I've ever really seen myself having is being funny. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's the only quality of myself that I really care about either way. I think I'm a nice guy off stage. I'm a caring person, whatever. But I mean, the thing I associate myself with is that. So that's all I'm really focused on is
you are
gigs.
A comic. I mean, it's not something you do. It's something you are.
I mean, what else am I going to do? I mean, it's like I've always loved doing it. I've always loved making people laugh. So it's kind of like the natural thing. A lot of guys are writers, and sometimes they write brilliant material, but off stage they're just they're pieces of wood. They're there's nothing worse than an unfunny comic. Nothing. Like at a table with a bunch of comics and we're smashing each other, and the one guy that can't take it, and he makes some snarky cunt remark. Oh, fuck yourself. Fucking submit jokes to Conan, douchebag. Right. Fucking sit here and hang out and try to be funny. It's the fucking worst. And I love seeing those guys come and be uncomfortable.
And when you're sitting there with your buddies after the show and you're talking about your show, that's just as important as being on stage. You're also performing there. You're competing there. Yeah,
but you're being natural there. Like you're competing in a way, but you're also loving them beating you. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you the beatings I've taken, and I mean from Patrice and Colin and Keith Robinson. When you have those guys destroying you, all you can do, and Voss, who is miraculously as dumb as he is he can be so quick and so funny. And when those guys are pounding you, Bobby Kelly's a great one too at fucking Crucifixions. All you can do is just cover up and take the savaging. And I love it. I'm like, I'm being beaten by some of the funniest people in the country. These guys are great. It's like you're relishing in how funny other people are. So that to me is something I love very much. I love getting my teeth kicked in by people who I admire too.
And it seems to be very tribal, the way you talk about it. I mean, these are the in people. It's almost like nobody could understand a test pilot but other test pilots. I mean, these are the people that you understand most in the world and the people that understand you most, right?
Yeah, comedians. I have a real soft spot for comedians.
The interesting thing, too, is that when I go back over the book, something about your work I've always thought of as fearless. And yet I read that you were pretty fearful early on, that you were saying, you were talking about something that you love, but you were hoping that gigs would be canceled because you were afraid to be on stage.
I remember when I was working with Vinnie Brand, who now owns a Stress Factory in New Jersey, and Voss. Mm-hmm. And I loved gigs getting canceled because I was scared of bombing. But the fear is not bombing. The fear is that there's going to come a day where it's exposed that I'm not funny, that the gift is not there. Like that's like not I'm going to bomb or certain people hate my guts. That's irrelevant. It's all of a sudden I'm going to realize you're not funny. This whole thing has been a mistake. Like, you're not in that group. You know, that's the fear, and it's always been the fear. So rather than risk that on a nightly basis, I wanted gigs to get canceled. You know, and I remember when he got canceled, I was working with Voss and Vinny, and we all got our $50. And Voss was one of the first times I ever met him, and he had his ponytail and his shitty teeth. He's like, "You're lucky we're giving you any money, pal." It's just such a Voss is an abrasive prick of a person, but behind your back, he's a nice guy. Voss is weird. He's really sweet behind your back, but to you, he's awful. He's just the opposite of the way most people are.
So for you, you're saying it's a gift, and it could disappear. There's some part of you, even now, that you're like, what if this thing is gone? Right?
I think so. I mean, I've always looked at being funny as that. I mean, maybe it's an ability, or maybe it's a defense. I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, I've noticed that most comics I know, there's something gravely wrong with them.
Right.
There really is. Because I think in a way being funny is an overcompensation. It's a defense way. It's a way not to get beat up. It's a way to get girls. It's a way to do something, to achieve something. So every comic I know is addicted to drugs, to sex, to get to something. I mean, Seinfeld, I don't know well. I know him very casually. I don't see any real flaws with him. So there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something that motivated him to be funny.
It could be his wife, but that's just me. I don't know. It might be mean to say. Tell me what the gift is, though. You said this gift.
The way I look at it is to be able to make other people laugh.
Right.
Because it's like even people who I don't think are funny, like I think that guy sucks. I still know when somebody's funny. Even
Right.
if he doesn't make me laugh at all, I still understand that he's a funny guy. Or that was fucking funny. And to me, the high of making people laugh, I love doing it, and I feel gifted to be able to do it. Not like gifted like I have something over people, but to be able to fucking do that. It feels amazing. And I watch people who want that so badly and don't have it, and that makes me sad. Like, my friend tried stand-up, and no matter what he did, he couldn't be very funny. He could say the word, but it just wasn't in him to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And I would always hurt for him when I saw him. Like, God, that must fucking be painful. I know comics that have committed suicide, and all of them have been bad. I mean, Richard Jennings is a really weird anomaly because he was a brilliant comic. He was a great writer and a prolific comedian. But the other guys I know that, and one woman who I know who hung herself, I think three of them that I knew, and none of them were very good on stage. And it's like they weren't getting the relief they needed from comedy. They weren't getting that.
All right, we're here with Jimmy Norton from the O&A show. Also, of course, the New York Times bestseller book, Happy Endings. Now, how much stuff have you had on TV? The book, you're doing 5 hours a day on the radio with O&A. This is just a ridiculous amount of writing that's going on over, let's say, the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Are you able to keep up this pace? Does it seem insane to you, the schedule that you're keeping?
Yeah, it's weird to get up I get up at 5:15. I'm in studio by 10:06 because again, I don't have the pressure that those guys do, man. My job is different than their job. So it's a little less pressure, a lot less pressure actually. And then I'll go home, try to nap, and then I'll go on stage that night. I go on every night. So it is a lot, but I'm on stage a lot. So now it's like the hour I did for HBO. I'm trying really hard not to do any of that material anymore. So now I'm on stage, eating my balls a lot because I'm trying new stuff. And, it's fun, though. I don't know how guys do the same shit for 10 years. It's like, how the fuck do you say that again? You know what I mean? Believe me, as a performer, there's certain things I've fucking harped on that, believe me, I'm sick of when they come out of my mouth. I don't know how you do an entire hour for 10 years. You should just blow your brains out.
Well, looking at stand-up as an art form, if, let's say, you were a songwriter, you would almost be forced to do the early stuff. Where when people come out to see you, even your biggest fans do not want to hear the stuff that they heard last time they saw you.
I think his jokes are contingent upon kind of catching you off guard. Mm-hmm. Like, a joke's a weird thing. And I think that's funny about musicians. Like, you lucky motherfuckers. Axl could come back now if he got over his stupid fear of performing whatever it is and just do Welcome to the Jungle, and people would go nuts. And it's like, you fucking lucky bastard, man. I have to have new shit.
He's got that for the rest of his life.
Yes, he does.
And even if you don't make some kind of leap, now they're he's doing that Norton thing. I mean, that happened with Kinnison, where he would write new material, but they went, it somewhat reminds me of.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really, I think the audiences are tougher on a comic than any other art form that there is out there.
There's something very personal about it. And it makes me love the audience, and it makes me hate them because, again, they groan and they judge it. It's like, you fucking cocksucker, you love Scarface, you love violence, and then you're mad you're going to sit there and try to impress your fucking date by groaning at me. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They're performing too. Fuck, I know what the fuck they're doing. It's
not
phony.
Crazy about those folks.
I hate them. They're like special interest groups in front of you. They're just it's fraudulent outrage.
At any point, do you ever say to yourself too, I wonder why there's not more critical acceptance for this kind of work, where no one's going to be really writing up Bob Kelly's new act in Rolling Stone and I caught him here. It's still as big as comedy gets from time to time and settles back down. It never is up there with the other art forms.
Well, yeah, and I tell you, Keith Robinson who had a great way of phrasing it, because a lot of the guys that run comedy and are critics, none of them are funny, or most of them are not funny. Mm-hmm. He put it beautifully. He said they're front of the bus guys. Not in a tough guy way, but most comics are the fucking clowns that sat in the back of the bus and teased each other and acted like assholes. The guys that run the business or the critics are guys that hated that deep down, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it, so they resented it, but they have to be a part of it somehow. A lot of them are people that wanted to perform. Most critics somehow wanted to be involved, but they didn't have what it took. They're fucking wannabes. And so most critics, we all want critical acceptance. I'd be a liar if I said I didn't, because it helps you sell more tickets. But most critics, when you strip them of everything, are fucking wannabes. And they're resentful. And they will say things are great because it seems brilliant to say certain things are great. And I'm sure sometimes they genuinely love things, but they will trash other things that they think the masses like because for some reason they're brilliant and the masses are stupid. So most critics, I detest.
Do you read everything that's written about you? Are you able to do that, even the message board stuff?
Most stuff I read is negative.
It is kind of funny that you say that because through the book you rip on yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really, really tough on yourself physically. And I remember, thinking, does this guy know that he's had the HBO specials, best-selling book, he's on the biggest morning show in the country right now. He's done Kimmel, Letterman, Leno. I can't think of another comic who's done stand-up on all three of those shows. I don't think anybody is touching the output of work that you're doing right now, and it doesn't seem to mean shit to you at all.
No, no.
It's odd.
I mean, I'm happy about it. I acknowledge, understand it. It's good. But the old expression, wherever I went, there I was. I mean, that stuff is not going to make me feel great about myself because, that stuff is just, it's outside shit. It's like my problem with me or my dislike of me has always been there. And it probably always will be. I mean, I'm almost afraid to lose it.
Because that would mean what?
I don't know what I would have to say anymore because I've been thinking that way for so long. The thinking is real. It's not a little hat I put on when I go to a club. I mean, it's just the way I think. And a lot of people think that way, which is why some people hate me because they might not or they get sick of it. But people who really relate to it, I think, like it.
But at any point do you answer yourself and say, who else, working today has done this stuff? I mean, if you're not going to feel good about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good for moments. I'm almost too scared of feeling too good and becoming complacent. Because what drives me is like feeling awful. So I'm kind of afraid of being too comfortable or too happy because those guys, then their lives come and their second special sucks dick because they were too happy going to the Hamptons or going to, L.A. I'm almost afraid to enjoy it too much.
Yeah, I don't think you got to worry about that. I think you are so far away from enjoying it even a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little. Maybe just to look back and say, Jesus Christ.
Well, I hate looking at myself, man. Like, I was watching the special. I had to edit the HBO special, and I'm watching it. I'm like, you muggy, ugly motherfucker. It's all I'm thinking watching. Like, because I laughed at one thing. I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, you fucking asshole. And I'm just alone. I mean, I'm not... if you see the special when I come out, I really should have a fucking frying pan buried in my head. I walk out and I go, thank you! Thank you! And I will never watch that special and not fucking cringe when I see that opening thank you.
That thank you ruined everything for you.
But I think it's every performer I think has that as we focus on the negative, or at least the comedians do. I don't know what goes into making. I kind of resent actors in a sense. Because I think that they resent me. A lot of sketch artists and sketch comics don't look at stand-up like it's this. And it's like, fuck you, man. You stand there and fucking tolerate that shit. You're running around 5 other guys on stage. Freeze! Fuck yourself. And I don't resent them for doing that, but I resent them for this weird look I have. Because it really is a weird vibe people have about comedy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're right, it's not put as highly, I guess, because the critics don't look at it the same way until they have to. Like, Sam's a guy they never would have fucking liked. You know what I mean? Because they're the guy he hated. He was obnoxious and vicious and loud. But once so many people accepted him, they kind of had to go, all right,
Right.
It went beyond just the dumb masses. He got tremendous. It was like you'd be a dummy to deny that he was great. And that's when a lot of times critics would go, all right, he's great. Because their backs were against the wall.
But then also they turned on him quick enough, too. I mean, towards the end of his life, it wasn't that easy on him.
Yeah, I mean, I've only met him once. I met Kinison one time. I got him to sign a napkin. I'm very grateful I did that because I still have it. He autographed the napkin for me. We talked for a couple of minutes. And I think what happens to a lot of guys is they change to a certain degree because they get caught up with drugs or their lives change and their act somehow changes. Because then Kinison all of a sudden was a rock star, man. He wasn't just a comedian anymore. He was a rock star, and there was a different vibe to him, I think. And still was very funny. But I think people a lot of times don't want to see you doing that well because they can no longer feel like they relate to you.
All right, we're going to also take some questions from the audience. You can always walk up to this mic, and we'll call on you from time to time. Earl will be over there. We are talking with Jimmy Norton, who's got an HBO special. Also, the book, Happy Endings, is still in the stores, still in the charts. And every morning you can hear him on the O&A show.
Yes.
For you, the book, totally different from the act. It doesn't. It seems to have almost a different pacing than your act.
Yeah, that's why it was weird doing the book on tape. I'd actually like to redo that because I'm not happy. I allowed somebody to dictate to me how to say it because I'd never done it, but I'll never do that again. But the cadence, some of that stuff's in the act, but majority of it is not. When comedians just put their act on paper, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, it's cheating, man. It's like you're just fucking whoring the same shit they paid to hear, and now you want them to pay to fucking read it on the plane, you dickhead. There's something really dishonest about that. So the cadence is different of writing for me. I love to write. But it's hard to write now that I'm back on the radio because I'm creatively satisfied. Most of that was written when we were off the air, and I was manically depressed, and I had no outlet. So I would just come home after fucking literally spending the entire night looking for whores and just depressed and wanting to leap out a window and just write. I had to do something. So that's why that book was even written.
All right, so you're still doing stand-up.
Yeah.
You're also doing the Comedy Central show. But not having the morning show, not having the radio show, that's still got to your head. Like, there's still some need to get out there.
I hated God. I hated him. Again, it's not like, your radio show got canceled, but I'm like, I finally found something where I'm succeeding and I love it, and you take it away, man. It's gone. It was like, because I never thought I was going to go anywhere in comedy. And I finally have something, because O&A was so fucking good to me, and I'm like, selling tickets in certain places, and now it's gone. Oh, yeah, that's right, you're Jimmy Norton. Like, that's how it felt like. It was that exposure. Like, see, it was a fucking illusion, stupid. So Colin, who I love, Colin Quinn. I mean, and when people don't like Colin Quinn, you're a dummy if you don't understand how funny he is. Even if he doesn't make you laugh, if you don't understand how funny he is and understand how brilliant he is, you're an idiot. Because comedians all adore him because we understand how there's nobody better. Tough Crowd was not about the issues, ever. It was about our awful relationships with each other. And that was Colin's genius, is dissecting relationships. Nobody can pick apart true personal interactions better than him and accurately. And that's what it was about, just a bunch of idiots who were trying to speak about the issues and then just degenerating into shut your mouth, stupid, because that's who we are. And that's why I kind of hated Comedy Central for canceling that show and putting on Graham Norton. That was funny.
So it was Colin's piece to kind of bring you guys in and turn you all on each other like a bad uncle?
Yeah,
but have you fighting in the basement?
And he would take his beatings too, though.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? He was a self-important ass at times, and he knows it. And that was all the Comedy Cellar. That's what we do there. We just shit on each other. We talk about the issues, and we always just degenerate into teasing each other. And that was what the show was. So yeah, I love Colin because that gig was very, very important to me.
That ran for about a year.
Two seasons.
2 seasons.
Yeah.
2 seasons, and then that was pulled back from you. Then you went to HBO.
Well, I went right back to O&A, and then 2004, a few months later, 6 months later, I landed a half-hour special, which I did not like. I was fucking fat, and my neck, I watch it. I hate that special. And I wound up doing that, and then doing Lucky Louie, which the critics hated. I didn't mind the critics not thinking it was funny. I accept that. What I didn't like is when they criticized things like language, or there were certain things that I knew that they didn't want to like it because they thought it was too basic, or the language wasn't snarky enough for them, or sophisticated enough for them. Yet Deadwood, every other word was fuck or cunt. It's accepted in every other art form where they would criticize Louis and his wife having sex. They're a married couple fucking horribly like married people do. And people had a problem with that. I guess everyone wants to watch overly dressed sets. You know what I mean? Like, you watch who the fuck lives in an arena-sized bedroom with little glasses and colorful things? And nobody lives like that. It's just a bunch of fucking homos who just have to justify their own position on the set, so they overdo it, and they put the paintings, they all go, oh my God, that's lovely. And they fucking film it. It's awful. But again, if people didn't think Lucky Louie was funny, if it didn't make you laugh, if you hated the acting, I'll never argue with that. I'll never argue with that because that's, that to me is a very justifiable criticism.
And they will they'll say that's an easy laugh if you tend to work blue.
Yes, just like, but it's funny. Why don't they turn on fucking Cosby and say that a kid doing a cute? Why am I yelling at you?
No, I have it right. I'm just glad you're not yelling at you for a minute. I'm really satisfied with that.
But no, but it's amazing. An easy laugh is like. Is to me is something that's hacky, and people having real interactions is not an easy laugh. We didn't use canned laughter. Easy laughs are fucking everyone in Hollywood using those laugh machines, and they all use it. Louis would not allow one joke to be sweetened. If a joke bombed and the final thing, but he liked it, it stayed in. And some critics complain that the laughs were too loud, that they're obnoxious because they're not used to hearing a live audience without that sitcom barrier. They put a plexiglass barrier in a lot of sitcoms. Louis did not do that. When Rick Shapiro walked out naked in that episode, I watched it. It's the biggest laugh I've ever seen anything get in a live situation. Ever. And they were not, most of those people, they'd bust them in. They were like a lot of rehab people. Mm-hmm. They weren't fans of ours. They never heard of our dumb show because we didn't have the advantage of airing every week. We aired in a hunk. So we did 13 episodes where nobody knew who the fuck we were. So there was no buildup of characters like, oh, it's Kramer again, or it's this guy, or, whatever. So, I hate easy laughs. To me, a lot of times what they do in sitcoms are easy laughs because they're going to fucking sweeten it regardless of whether the audience liked it or not.
The other thing for you, too, is that you get these things that you love, then you have them taken away from you from time to time. And the work that you do, it could all crumble down on you because of what we've seen happen with Imus,
yes,
on and on and on. At any given moment, you could say something that could set everybody off.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not... It's because people's outrage is fraudulent and dishonest. The Asian groups, to me, they're frauds, and just like the black groups are, and just like the women's groups. And the men, I mean, what happens is special interest groups, they had a really good purpose and a very honest purpose, which is defending people who were being shit on and fighting for people who were vilified for no reason. But then once a lot of that's accomplished, well, if there's nothing to argue about or to bitch about, we cease to exist. Mm-hmm. And that's what keeps them going. So they're going to find something. So to me, you can't obsess about it. You can't obsess about, am I going to say the wrong thing? If you go on the Tonight Show and you drop the N-bomb, you're a dumb motherfucker. But you were a dumb motherfucker 10 years ago to do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you say something that but the fact that Imus got dumped for that, it makes, first of all, no one safe because he billed a lot for CBS. He billed a lot more than we'll ever bill because of the fucking sponsors he had. If he can get fired, any of us can go. And the outrage over that was completely fraudulent. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it from black people. I didn't buy it from fucking anybody at CBS. I didn't buy it from any of them. It was just a chance because white people are terrified to be accused of being racist. Mm-hmm. So whenever another white person is called racist, they will usually co-sign for it because, oh, yeah, that's very terrible that he does that because they have a superiority complex. Boring.
Everybody scattered from Imus pretty much except for you guys.
Well, I mean, there was, comedians a lot of times defended him. But Whoopi Goldberg, to me, was a sin. I love the fact that fucking rappers now are getting a dick stuck in them. Good. Because you motherfucker, of all people, rappers have gotten killed on content. Nobody has had their shit restricted or looked at harder than rappers. And they came out against them. They came out against the guy who was being fired for something he said. It was repulsive. D.L. Hughley was great. He said something. I'm going to steal his quote. I think he said free speech is a zero-sum game. He was just basically saying that there should be no limits on it other than what time, place, and matter in the Constitution. So the fact that and it is a fucking constitutional issue. Well, they're a company. They have the right to fire you. But you know what? It's like if you're coming after a guy and you're making him lose his livelihood because he said something that bothered you, then to me it is something constitutional about that. Because you can always find a reason to fucking justify booting somebody. The liberals say it's hate speech. The fucking conservatives say it's family values. Right. Phonies.
Yeah, and then there you are right in between them. You don't have one group that's going to swing in.
No, that's why, by the way, when O&A got in trouble, the fact is we had people pushing back, which was very fortunate for us. Of course, Debbie and the fucking People Against Censorship, right? Did I get it right? That helped because now the news had somebody else to talk to.
Right.
They had somebody else to talk to. They had a bright woman to talk to, and they had other people out there reacting. They had something to focus on. It's amazing how guys like Sharpton and guys like Jesse Jackson, we all know that they're fucking cocksuckers, and yet they have influence. He said Hymietown. He said and he was a presidential candidate. It's amazing how anybody listens to him. He said he didn't like Jews. When you call New York Hymietown, you're saying, I don't like Jews. He's gone to, I think, to meet with Muammar Gaddafi. This is a guy who really has influence. But Imus says something, and he's fucking booted off the air because everybody's afraid of being, we're not racist, Jess,
So for you now, you've got to keep an eye on this, even when it's not you or anybody you know, and you'll be on the defense of this now. Because if it happens anywhere, it's kind of happening to you.
Yeah, in a way it is, yes. Yeah. But we should all be disgusted by it. It's like I would never want anybody to not be able to say what they want, ever. I mean, I know I have a reputation for shitting on liberals, but my problem with liberals is not the political beliefs. It's not. I don't agree with a lot of them, but there's a lot of what they do that I love. My problem with them is they have become the conservatives. Like, I perform in colleges, and they were places that want you to sign something saying you will not make racial jokes, you will not make gay jokes, and they hide behind, well, this has to be a safe haven. But they are supposed to be this oasis of free speech and free thought, and they've become as fucking repressive as anybody else.
Anything out of bounds for you? Anything at all where you go, geez, I'm not comfortable with that?
Yes, things that I think will hurt somebody in the moment. There's a difference to me between a subject like wheelchairs or burn victims. I know what my motives are at all times, but for a burn victim to be here, I don't mean you don't do racial jokes if there's a black guy or woman jokes if there's women. I'm saying if you're going out of your way to be vicious to somebody, to hurt somebody, and your excuse is I'm trying to be funny, you're being phony. To me, that's off limits. I really try, as vicious as I can be, to never truly try to hurt somebody because I really want people to laugh, man.
Right.
And, you don't want somebody to be hurt by what you're doing.
So for your thing is you would want the people, let's say if you were doing an Italian joke, you'd want the Italians to laugh at it.
Absolutely.
You don't want the Italians to be the only people in the room not laughing.
Not at all, because there's nothing you could talk about that will make me want to walk out. I'm one of these ignorant people. I hold everyone else to the same standards I hold myself to. You know what I mean? I don't care how radical you are on stage. I may find it repulsive, but I would never go, or, hey, Bob, ever. I loved Farrakhan. I really do. I loved Khalid Muhammad because these guys just enraged people. I didn't like what they said. I thought a lot of it was just shit. But I like the fact that, to me, they're great Americans because what they're doing is saying things that make people want to put bullets in them, and they're free to say it. That, to me, honestly, it's like... It's funny. It's like one of the sig pics on .net, message board that hates my guts, has a great fucking thing. It's free speech is not defending popular speech because by definition popular speech doesn't need to be defended. I don't know whose original quote that is, but it's brilliant, and we've lost that. And it really is frightening that people are now, they want this word banned. And it's like, what are you fucking doing, man? We're phony. We go around the world trying to impose our will on everybody else and talk about democracy, and we're simply just trying to pick apart what you can say and what you can't say and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, just because somebody might be offended. Not because they're going to be hurt like fire in a movie theater, but they might be offended.
You know, I had never really thought about that till you brought it up, but if you look at Malcolm X and then even on the other side and go to like George Wallace, we don't have anybody who's that good on stage from a political point of view. There used to be great speakers. John F. Kennedy was a great speaker. Bobby Kennedy was a great speaker. But nobody would say George Bush or Gore or any of those guys really grab a room. It's almost a lost art form.
Well, Reagan, I think they called him the great communicator because he had an ability. I believe he had a Democratic Congress or Senate or whatever it was, and he had an ability to get shit through because he was such a wonderful speaker. Clinton was good, too. Clinton's a charismatic guy, man. You can't not love Clinton.
Maybe that, but you never remember their speeches. Those speeches are rarely quoted as much as some of the other people from the 60s.
I don't know. Part of that's probably because we're not putting out good people. Part of it's also because with the Internet and with 50 channels and with cable, there's so many more outlets. It's almost like when you said something in 1960, there were 3 stations and the radio station broke into it.
Right.
There wasn't all distractions of scandal. You imagine fucking Marilyn Monroe, the 2 brothers, how fast that would have made the papers today? But back then, they laid off. They didn't photograph FDR in a wheelchair. It's like everything you said, everybody watched.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then media didn't attack you a certain way. So I just think it was a different way of communicating back then as well.
It's also interesting to me that you're a guy who says, I don't speak much outside myself, and I see you doing that quite a bit when you want to. You know, It goes apart from some of the things that you say about yourself.
Well, like when I say I don't always obsessively talk about my own life, but if I talk about politics or whatever, I just try to skewer it honestly. I guess maybe what is my own honest feelings about things are all. I'm not always right. I know that. I'm an ass sometimes. I'm a self-important idiot. I fucking trash things on the radio, and I'm wrong. And my opinion is wrong. But it's honest. You know what I mean? Who the fuck said you always have to be right? As long as you're telling the truth as you see it. You know, I mean, that's all I have, I should say.
All right, let's some folks going over here, and we'll take some questions for Jimmy and get this thing going. Just walk on over here to the microphone. Now you've been listening. Everyone's a little fucking nervous now, aren't you? These are all the people in the dark making those moaning noises.
I've just put them to sleep. And they're all like, all right, look, melatonin.
It always takes one. Here you go. What's your name, man?
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Jimmy, one of your first big breaks was with Dice.
Yes.
And I noticed listening to the show and a lot of the replays, especially when the guys would tear into him a little bit after the meltdown he had. You're always very quiet about that. Is there any animosity with the way things shook down, knowing he gave you such a big stage to work with, yet he went shitty on you?
Well, what happened with Dice was Andrew. I had a weird thing with him. My loyalty is with Opie and Anthony because I've been with them for so long, and what they've done for me is, I never fail to recognize what the guys have done, and it's not out of politeness; it's for real. I mean, they come to my book signings. They don't make money from that. They get nothing from that other than supporting me, and they like to meet the fan. You know what I mean? So my loyalty's with those guys. Andrew never bashed me personally. I know what he was doing with the radio show is just trying to make himself, I think, just trying to get something started to go on Stern. It makes me sad more than angry what happened because I loved him. I mean, he changed my life. It would be hard for me to bash Dice if he attacked me, I would attack him back.
Have you talked to him since that happened?
Yes. I've seen him once. Yeah. I saw him in L.A. What made me angry about Andrew, though, was I was touring with him and Jim Florentine, and then he stopped calling me back. We were supposed to do a date in Seattle. I just never heard from him again. And I didn't know why. So that kind of pissed me off. And then 2 years later, I saw him in Los Angeles. And we said hello. We hugged. And I'm like, what happened? He's like, I was going through my divorce. I was not good at talking. And it was over a joke. He thought I took a Christopher Reeve joke from him. And I'm like, man, I'm a comic. All I have is my integrity. What was the joke? And he goes, it's not a long time ago. Maybe I'm wrong, man. I apologize. I was in a weird place. I'm like, tell me the joke. And I forget what the joke was, but our jokes on Christopher Reeve were completely different. So it was like, maybe it was something else. You know what I mean? But I didn't steal a joke. But I have a really weird feelings about Dice. It makes me sad that it happened like that. Do you
think some comics always need that feud, though, to drag them? I remember Dice used to fight with Kinnison, and they both fought with different people, and it just seems like sometimes comics need that almost like rappers. They got to have somebody to be pissed at.
Yeah, I just think that he didn't need it with Opie and Anthony because those guys really loved him. I mean, they really did. Opie would hang out at his house. I mean, they were friends, off-the-air friends. We were
just came from left field. There's no reason that
completely shocked. I mean, and this is stuff you'll hear on the air, but it's something I remember happening in person. And what the fuck is he doing? Why? It was confusion more than anything. And he said he was angry because Opie never called him back. When he called, Dice said, I want to talk to Opie before I go on the show because Opie's dad had been killed. And he said, I can't just go on and do the radio. But Opie wasn't calling anybody back then. He wasn't thinking of being courteous and calling a guy back. He was just trying to get through every day. So, that to me, it made me sad that Dice took that route.
And it seems like friendships are really almost everything to you. It seems like some of your comic friends are the longest relationships of your life.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, I'm doing comedy 18 years now, almost. So it's like those are the guys I've been seeing for years. Mm-hmm. But there's that weird bond, man. You just my friends, I don't see each other often. It's funny, I'll be in the cellar one night. The next night, I'm in Dallas. He's in Los Angeles. He's in fucking Florida.
Right. And
I don't see them for a month. I'm like, oh, yeah, you moved to L.A. Fuck, I forgot. But, yeah, they're my longest relationships. I mean, and I'll always probably know Dice unless something ugly happens. But I don't see it as happening. To me, I'm hoping everybody makes up someday. I'm like a little codependent whore.
Beyond your comedy friends, do you ever talk to people that you grew up with and have them go, Jesus, I hadn't seen you for years, and they're on HBO tonight? Is that the kid? He and I used to blow each other underneath the porch. That's got to be weird. Because I have the feeling you don't look all that different from when you're like 6 or 7.
Probably not. Nor do I behave that differently. Give me those ribs. Fucking, that was a sitcom little comeback. Fucking head should pop out of a laughing box sometimes when I talk. Yeah, man, there's certain people I got sober with that I still see and still talk to. But again, comedy's become so all-encompassing for me that I've lost touch with most people because 7 nights a week I'm doing that, and my whole life is that. And I don't mean that to be pseudo deep, it's my life, but it really is. I'm obsessed, and I have been since I started. And it didn't wane; it got more and more and more. So the relationships that I've maintained are comedian relationships, even from way back when. Bobby Levy, one of my closest friends, Florentine. Florentine got me my first paid gig in comedy when he was Jammin' Jim, and he had long blonde hair, and I'm like, who is this horse's ass? He was just like a dumb Dee Snider-looking guy, and he got me my first paid gig in 1990, and he's been one of my closest friends. So those are relationships I've kept.
You know, you got sober so early, and now you say you struggle with the sexual addictions. Any of the other addictions ever come back to haunt you? Ever, still pressed about alcohol and drugs, or? Well,
the stuff with alcohol and drugs is more. Those are just symptoms of what the real problem is. It doesn't scare me the most, though. Sexual addiction is destructive, but alcohol for me, there's a risk of blackout and killing people or suicide. Like those are the ones that are terrifying to me. I mean, the idea of doing that is that's what I'm most afraid of. Is I'm going to pick up again.
Do you have to work that all the time, or you feel like it's in the background a little bit?
I should. Yeah. I should be much more vigilant, because I think above all I'd be happier if I was paying more attention to the spiritual side of my life. Because, I mean, spirituality is just about giving to other people and caring for other people, and I've neglected a lot of that through this obsession through work, which really is a self-obsession.
And yet, it seems like, and I know it seems weird, but you brought up the term spiritual. A lot of your stuff, that's your sacred place. You on stage, you in front of a mic.
In my life, I should be more. I should be more. I mean, I pray every night. I should pray in the morning. And again, whatever religion you are, whatever, man. But I just got to say thanks at the end of the night for fucking being sober.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm very lucky. I mean, I got sober when I was 18. I'm very fucking lucky.
And is that also, when you're saying this gift that you got to be funny, do you also equate that when you're writing? Do you feel like that's almost a spiritual thing, or?
No, it's funny. I don't think of it like that. I guess I should, but to me, it's been, I think, more of a reactionary survival thing. Like, not in a melodramatic way, yeah, but it's been more of a reactive thing. Even though I know it's a gift. Always been, she doesn't like me, but nobody fucks the comic, man. I mean, after a certain point they start to, but at times you really do just feel like the big-nosed clowns. They can go home and fuck their boyfriend. It really is irritating.
Hey, my name's Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Jim, you're brilliant, and Ron, no one gives a better interview.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I was thinking this was really going great.
Really is. We are in awe of fucking Ron and the interviewing skills, man. It really is a major. It's something to watch you just be able to fucking pull things out of people. Until you interviewed kids, I would have nothing to say to them. I really wouldn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. AIDS, AIDS. And you fucking are so good at that, man. Yeah, I feel the same way about him.
I was wondering what art you like doing better, coming up with 5 hours of new material every morning on the radio, playing off, impromptu with a handful of guys, or going on stage night after night doing similar material in front of different audiences, trying to make them laugh.
It's the same. What they are is they're just different. I caught myself. I almost said different branches of the same tree, but I realized the only way to redeem myself would be to cut my throat. But it's the same thing. It's just about being funny. It's like when I'm in the room, maybe it's wrong to do it, but I'm playing to Opie and Anthony. I can't think of what people are thinking outside, which probably makes me not as good of a radio guy as I should be. Mm-hmm. But I'm playing to my buddies. I'm talking to my buddies. That's what I'm thinking of, is what they are thinking.
And that's because you have Opie to be the broadcaster, to be able to think other people are paying attention to this, because you don't put yourself outside that.
No, I mean, and he's fucking great at that, because without that, I get off track so many times, and he's like, well, we got to get back to it. And I know that I would wind up not realizing how uninteresting something is, but he is a lot of times thinking about, all right, what are they thinking out there? What's going through their heads out there, and how do I make this a listenable fucking experience?
My name's Bobo, and I was wondering, can you cite like a single moment where you were inspired to become a comedian?
Yeah, watching Richard Pryor in 1979, 1980 on my TV with my parents, watching live in concert. It's the best stand-up ever done, Richard Pryor live in concert. I always was funny, I always made people laugh. But I didn't know what to do with that. I would write stories when I was a little kid and love when they would be read and people would be laughing. But I didn't understand what comedy was. And I watched him, and it was like, that's what you do with it. So yeah, that for me was the moment.
What was it? Because he was making you laugh, or you saw other people in your life laugh?
Both. My parents were laughing. I was laughing, and he was making people. That was done in Long Beach, California. Pryor made pimps laugh.
Yeah.
And fucking Huey P. Newton. He fucking he introduced Huey Newton. You know how radical you have to be? I introduced Opie and Anthony, and that shouldn't be done. He fucking introduced Huey P. Newton, the fucking leader of the Black Panthers, man. Those are the guys he made laugh. I mean, he fucking had...
and at the same time, he had your parents. You know, I mean, that's really, really strange. And it's a powerful thing, I think, when you're a little kid and you see your parents laughing at something. Even if you don't get it, you're like, here's these people who I see being straight or are serious a lot. And they're losing it, and that's a powerful thing for a kid to see.
Well, he was so beautiful because he was doing really necessary and poignant racial stuff, and it was needed and it was genuine. But he never tried to make you feel guilty. I love that about him. He never tried to make you feel guilty about being a white guy, so you didn't have that out. You had to acknowledge it because he was just accurately portraying things. I mean, he was beautiful, man. He really was.
My name's Blake.
Hi.
And I had a question. You know, you were talking about like how you put it a post-timeless world now with all these special interest groups and all that, how they, you know, find reasons to pick apart, you know, like one little thing you say. I was wondering, how do you think that's affecting comedians and all that coming up? Like say, you get the average guy who's like trying to stand up now. Do you think it's harder for him to like try to break out? Say, for example, if you get Richard Pryor or Sam Kinison trying to debut in this post-timeless world, it would be almost impossible for them to kind of make it because you got all these special interest groups, and at the same time you have the same things where it's affecting like even like comedy movies, like say a movie like Blazing Saddles or Zorro the Gay Blade. There's no way that would ever be allowed in this. And how do you think that affects like comedians trying to up-and-coming comedians?
Could Pryor break out the same way that you saw him in '79? Would that still happen?
Well, the necessity of what Pryor did is different now, because times are different now. But the genius of him would be the same. He's Richard. Kinison was Kinison. Even though they didn't have as much political correctness, people stood outside with fucking signs, and women's groups, they were attacked, man. Pryor, they were going to arrest him on stage one time for the Lenny Bruce thing, but he had 12,000 people in the audience, and they thought better of it because a fucking riot would have broke out. I mean, these are guys. Look at Lenny. Lenny didn't have political correctness, but Lenny shone. I mean, and he was never as funny as Pryor. But even Richard would acknowledge that Lenny kicked open the door for him to be able to do what he did. So yes, Pryor would succeed today. Truly funny people, I think, will not rise above it and change, but find a way to fucking take whatever it is at the time that's so repressive and you kick it in the balls. You can't co-sign it. You can't co-sign it because that's what, to me, what comedians do. It's our job in a way is to take what's awful and what people hate and make it funny. To me, that's I guess what I love about comedy is like I don't want to hear about fucking holding my girlfriend's purse in the mall. Gives a shit. It's like you know, like people who when, after 9/11. I remember, I mean, you couldn't go on stage and talk about 9/11, but at the Comedy Cellar, me, Patrice, Keith Robinson, and somebody else were talking about the fantasies we had after 9/11. We all had fantasies about how we would have behaved on the planes. It was a natural human reaction. And we started laughing at what idiots we were. And that's what we went on stage the week of and started talking about. Again, you have to be careful where you put the joke. But to me, that was to allow people to laugh at that. You know, because Keith Robinson, he's a dumb motherfucker. His fantasy was that he would have recognized they were terrorists and that he would have grabbed the stewardess and hit her before the plane took off. And when the cops came, he would have said, "Those guys are terrorists." That was a fantasy a grown man had about stopping 9/11. So Keith told me that, and I couldn't wait to go on stage and go, "Your host tonight, this is what a fucking dummy he is." You know, and Patrice did it, and so, yeah, man, I guess I don't know where I'm going with that, but there is a way to get through all of that stuff. You just can't you can't co-sign it.
I think that the best will always find a way to break through, no matter what's happened in the society. And occasionally some people go, even though these things are suppressing us and we're being held back, a guy will rise up and get himself a couple of specials on HBO, be on the biggest morning show in the country, and even write a best-selling book. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Norton, let him hear it.
Thank you.
Unmasked on XM. Truth in comedy.
Brought to you by BowDogLife.net. Playing poker has never been easier. Sign up for free today at BowDogLife.net.
This XM exclusive comedy presentation was recorded at the XM Performance Theater in Washington, D.C.
With thanks to Jamie Carr, Chris Walsh, and Rick Hamilton. Unmasked with Jim Norton was hosted by Ron Bennington. Recorded by Alex Hodge. Editing by William E. Black. Post-production by Aaron Lee. Executive producer, Kenny Curtis.
Yeah, and I really am a hypocritical little scumbag. I'm up here trashing Britney Spears. She's really stupid. What a dummy. I would still gladly lay back and let her shit in my mouth.
Unmasked is produced exclusively by XM Satellite Radio.